Vlad, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you on. I'm super excited to talk to you for a variety of reasons. So we met on YC co-founder matching.
Shout out to Gary Tan. Please pick me.
Yeah, please pick our applications. I know you applied. I also applied independently, but we met through the YC co-founder matching, and it's been cool getting to know you because you have experience with the video game development industry. And for a lot of my life, I was a big video gamer.
Yeah.
And that really changed for me after I really got into entrepreneurship and really found myself lacking purpose through video games. But it was a big part of my life, and I definitely found a lot of value in them. And I always thought maybe I would do something in video games, which is why I got into computers at all in the first place. I was more interested in
it's a good gateway
psychology. Drug. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I think there's a lot of computer science people who are just like, I liked video games. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do? I guess I'll do CS. Maybe I can do something with that.
Yeah.
How did you begin your journey with video game development? And maybe you can tell a little bit about yourself, give like a 30-second intro that expands into more time that really goes into the depth of what you've achieved in that industry.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Vlad Shumov. I know that I got a really glowing introduction, and I'll try my best to make it count. So, what got me into video games? Well, as everybody my age, we joined at one of the best times ever to play video games. We had old school RuneScape, we had World of Warcraft, and from when I was 8, I got sucked into RuneScape. And so I was a kid who used to play outside with his friends until I started playing RuneScape, and that changed my life 20 years later. And I guess in some sense you could say that creating video games chose me. I didn't really choose it, for better or for worse. And what that means is that I find it difficult to work on other things that's not related to how to make a cool experience. It's only very recently that I kind of began translating that knowledge and trying to see if I could apply it to different consumer products. Because fundamentally, it's pretty much the same thing. Creating a gameplay loop that is both rewarding and perpetuating. And if you think about consumer products, it's sort of the same thing. It's a reward cycle that leads to further use of the consumer app or product or what have you. Of course, it's also nice if it serves a good purpose, but fundamentally, the basis of our capitalist system is providing value and entertainment because we like to be entertained, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so my game development journey started a long time ago. I was involved in a lot of World of Warcraft modding for a long time. I found it was easier to make the game experiences that I wanted without having to remake the overhead that is required in other games. Like, let me give you an example. Did you play any MMOs?
I have played MMOs. The first MMO that I played was the wizarding game, Wizard 101.
Wizard 101, yeah.
Long time ago. I loved that game. I loved Wizard 101. That was one of the first games that I played. And I also played this really weird, maybe not weird, that's the wrong word, really retro mobile game. That was an MMORPG before anything else. And that was before I ever even thought about playing games. It was just like a mobile app on my phone that was a MMORPG type thing. But I remember Wizard 101. I remember this other game that was the mobile app called Brawl Online Classic.
Okay.
And I also, more recently, as in like while I was in college briefly, and then also in high school a bit, I played Albion Online.
Albion Online, yeah.
As an MMORPG. But
that's a good one.
I would not say I'm an MMORPG gamer, and I never really got into that type of game.
Got it.
When I was playing games.
Okay, so let me give some context then. So the reason I did World of Warcraft modding is because I didn't want to make something like a messaging system, friend request system, mail system. If you have all that pre-made, you can focus on what actually matters. And it's the gameplay loop. It's the fun. It's creating the new things. And that sort of led me to create something called Shinobi Story, which was, or is and was, a Naruto MMORPG. And one of the biggest available. And we had around 75,000 registered users. We existed from 2019 to last year. And we had definitely a cult following of a really dedicated amount of players. And I was fortunate enough to do that as my full-time job for a couple of years. And that both made me really respect the games industry and fear it, because players are a fickle group. If you don't give them what they want immediately, then they will hate you until you give them what they want. And it's almost like a childlike relationship. But it's fun. I love it. I don't know if I want to get back into it. I actually tried to raise for a video game earlier this year. And one of the people I met is a guy named Shane DeBeery, who was one of the creators of World of Warcraft. He then left to create his own game investment studio called Dreamhaven. And I spoke to him a few times, and he told me right now is the hardest time to raise for a video game, maybe the last 30 years. Higher interest rates, tons of games collapsing, and sort of a restructuring of the American games industry as a whole. And so I pivoted. Moved on from that, now doing it as a hobby. It's called Warsworn. It's kind of like an MMOBA where you combine the best parts of an MMO with the best parts of a MOBA. And essentially it's like create your own character, pick a class, and then enter a third-person MOBA gameplay loop. If you know what any of those terms mean.
Yeah.
Imagine this. World of Warcraft meets League of Legends.
That's really cool.
And so my friend and I are working on that as a side project right now as a hobby.
That's awesome.
Well, we're trying to, well, not we, while I try to make something else. He's in Australia, so it's tough.
Yeah, and through that, you're thinking about going into e-commerce a little bit now. And in through the game loop experience, I think there's so many core components there, because it really is like a feedback loop. How do you gain recurring revenue if you're in that type of business? But also just for CPG as well. When you're trying to sell product, you want people to recommend the product. And how does something actually create emotion for users? And that's a huge part of video game development, is trying to create an emotional loop for the user, where they care about the character, they care about the mechanics enough that they want to keep playing, and then develop something, memory with the game, where they associate certain feelings and emotions to it.
Yeah, I found that in gaming, at least, people get really attached to people they meet in the game. That's a little harder to replicate in a SaaS product, especially in e-commerce, where people are a bit more black and white in what they hope to achieve from your tool. It's kind of pretty binary. Does it work? Does it make me more money? And, you know, it's definitely tough nut to crack, but right now I'm exploring something called List Groovy. It's the easiest way to sell anything. Essentially, you take a photo or video of a collection of stuff, and it will automatically identify everything accurately, its condition, a really good description, and list it automatically for you. So what takes a couple hours to list, that pile of junk that everyone has, can now take a couple minutes. And so that's what we're working on right now. And I actually got accepted into the Antler program a few days ago.
That's awesome.
So my friend and I are now working on List Groovy to see if we can make something. But
yeah, that's great.
We're keeping options open.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it would be listing to Facebook Marketplace and other type
eBay,
of
Poshmark, anything you can think of. Obviously, that may not be a long-term solution, but it's certainly a penetration point, like a beachhead.
What's your role in making List Groovy? And obviously, maybe it's a little bit different from your role when you're developing the game that you're developing as well. In terms of the type of work that you're doing, do you tend to find yourself on the technical side, or are you more on customer experience? And where do you find the value in the work?
I am technical, but I find my skills are actually definitely in the user experience side, the design side. And on Shinobi Story, I was responsible for a lot of the design. Actually, if you think about it, kind of almost everything. But now I'm thankful to be joined by a very highly technical person. And so I can sort of let him do his thing, and he lets me do my thing. And so far, we've definitely been working quite well together. But what I do is specifically in... So the three things I'm good at: design, monetization, and user experience. And a combination of those three definitely can lead to a good product, but obviously one person alone can't make anything. And so we need to also find people who specialize, sort of like in a video game, where you have like a tank, healer, DPS, you have like a talent tree where you can like specialize. And so I think of businesses sort of that same way, where each of us has a role and we specialize in that role. And maybe a side spec of mine, so to speak, is also being able to somehow find decent people to work with. And so I'm always on the hunt for kind of filling in the gaps. Maybe I'm not so good at marketing. And so I'm currently looking for someone who specializes in marketing in their little stat distribution for their character. And it's definitely reflected in all the best companies throughout all of history. Well, recent history at least, startup history. Where the first 10 people that you find are probably the most impactful. And this is not my quote. This is like Paul Graham, famous quote. The first 10 people in a company make or break the whole thing. So I'm looking for a good number 3, a good number 4. And I don't know if that answered any of your questions. I kind of just went on my own way. But
yeah, it's fun because everyone has their own cards to play. And it's definitely something that I have always thought back to throughout my life, and really when thinking about any entrepreneur and in discussions with anyone that I really have, is everyone has their own skill set, and the ability to be able to execute on that skill set is not necessarily the ability to execute on the skill set is what sets people apart, and it's not entirely dependent on one attribute, and that's what makes life very fun.
Let me ask you this.
In so many ways.
What are your skill points in?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of skill points in a lot of different areas. My biggest skill point is in perception. I'm very perceptive, and I'm very aware.
Okay.
What has gotten me from who I was to who I am is entirely based on that, in the sense that I recognize the things that I don't like and the things that I like, and then I try to improve upon myself continuously. It's the path that I really set for myself, is just trying to make every day as great as possible and making the next day better than the next. Yeah. And so I'm incredibly skillful at finding unorthodox solutions to problems that other people are having and that I have. But I also sometimes like miss solutions that everyone does. You know, it's like you have a different perception on it. But I often can bring a different perspective usually to any group that I'm a part of, and it's helpful always to get more perspectives, and that's really, you know, like what I seek in people that I listen to, and feedback that I get is sometimes it's not even necessarily about the feedback or perspective actually helping anything. Oftentimes listening to someone else and how they're solving their own problem,
it's like a mirror,
will have something relate to the problem that I'm solving, or something that I'm trying to achieve in my life that might be some sort of breakthrough in a mental frame or a structure for some sort of problem. When it comes to the monetization and the overall usability of apps and making people feel like it's worth something that they'd pay for, I'm curious, what would you say you're talking about that being one of your things that you're feel like you're good at? What do you think the thing is that most people miss on that? Because right now, so I'm developing this web app, and the monetization of it is definitely,
what's it called?
A challenge. Maiden.
Nice.
Yeah.
What does the Maiden do?
Okay, so Maiden is a graphic design tool that helps people make graphic designs in less than 10 seconds, but also interacts with their data to help make insights around it. So it helps people create and then share insights around whatever they're doing.
Okay,
and
Maiden.
So, and I try not to get too much into it. It's very much, to me, a stealth / semi-stealth thing. I talk about it as I do.
Okay.
And I try and get targeted users into it, but there's no real benefit in me taking it as public as possible.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of competitors similar to what I'm doing.
Okay.
And there's nobody that does anything similar, though, in the level of what Maiden does, in the sense of design refactoring, like infinite context, basically, like ChatGPT-esque memory, but then with data analytics power to be able to drive insights independently of the user from sources online, and then be able to share it. Very unique set of tools, and the way those tools interact is very good. And the main concern that I have is not necessarily whether it will succeed or not, and whether I'll be able to get users. It's whether, like, ChatGPT would just implement the feature. And there's all these reasons why they wouldn't be able to do anything similar, because it's, when you look at platforms like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, they try to be this everything AI, which there's always benefits to being the everything AI, but you always lose different attributes, because when you're the everything AI, you can't, theoretically you can tailor, but you give people the option to tailor the experience. And ChatGPT does this with their things like memory and other different things you can set in the settings, personalization features. But you can't get as detailed as you would if you set out to solve a particular problem for one particular group. Because what ends up happening is, if you end up doing that, you end up making it too complex for everybody. Where the average user really wouldn't be able to understand how to best use the tool. So if you really target one use case, you have to tailor the platform in a way that alienates someone else. You can't appeal to everyone. And that's true for marketing as well. It's true for sales. It's true for everything. Whatever you say is usually can't appeal to everyone. There's very few things that everyone will applaud. And even if you say, you're the best, you're amazing, you're going to do great things, someone will respond negatively to be that, because they might be like,
story of my life.
how the heck are you saying that? Like, you don't know anything about me. And they might get defensive and be like, I'm just telling you I think you're great. Like, why are you responding negative to that? Some people are going to respond negatively. Mm-hmm. And so you can't appeal to everyone. And so finding really the group to target is definitely something that I'm always refining. And I've talked to a lot of different people on it. I have some great advisors. And when you build a product, you just hope that the people that will be using it find the value in it, but obviously then you iterate on it to then better fit where the demand is and to best position it. And I'm really excited because this week I'll be launching my closed alpha.
Oh, congratulations.
And then from there, it's really just super exciting to me because of the fact that I'll be able to take a step back and do a lot of reflection on the monetization piece and figure out what the best avenue is for really targeting the users and really increasing the revenue of the company. It's a really fun spot to be in, and there's so much for me to learn in the coming month that I'm really excited about. And it's the moment where it's like you have this vision, and then the vision becomes the foundation of a beautiful project, a beautiful building. It goes from the paper to now the foundation is laid.
Yeah.
And now I have the scaffold on which to build the next pieces. And it's really exciting because now I get to choose the finishes. And now I get to pick what type of flooring I'll put, what type of windows. And it's cool to at least have something that's real.
Well, congratulations. Most people never get there. Most people are stuck in idea land, and that's honestly brave to even take the risk, right? I assume you're foregoing a stable job.
Yeah.
It's brave.
I've always been. Some people could say that. That's obviously the outward perception. It is very brave. It is a very courageous thing to do. It appears to be courageous, and it is quite scary, but it is the path I must take to get to where I want to go. And so in that, it's like, sure, it's like if you have to go somewhere, maybe the path is dangerous and rocky and whatnot, but I mean, it's like you just have to go through it.
It's the hero's journey. It's like the classic archetype. But let me ask you this, kind of, you mentioned your path. What is that path?
Yeah. The path is the one that leads me to a better tomorrow.
Okay.
And so I have a journal, and in 2023, when I graduated college, I started writing a book. And it was because I was in this moment of depression. I wasn't happy.
Yeah, a lot
of people. And so I had to reevaluate who I was as a person and what I wanted to achieve, because I was living my dream. I lived in a house to myself. I had a job. I made money.
Yeah, everything check boxes were checked on paper, right?
Yeah, except I was depressed because I felt like I wasn't pursuing any goal. I'd kind of gotten to where I was, and I was like, I thought this is where I would want it to be in 40 years, but now I'm here today.
Yeah.
And so there's obviously things that I would have preferred different in that situation. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was where I was like, I got to figure something out, because this is not what I don't want to be this way for 40 years. There has to be more to do. And so I like big self-improvement journey just from being in the spot where had to reevaluate, like, who am I as a person? But, like, what I started noticing all the things that I didn't like, and I just tried to fix them. And it's the perception trait, right?
Yeah.
And so I started writing about that. And at some point I stopped writing this book and I started journaling. And so I've been journaling every day for about 2 years.
Okay.
And it's cool to be able to reflect back on all the days that I've had. And I really felt like it's been a big improvement to me, because each journal I have goals that I set out for the journal. And so that each journal, once I hit about 12 or 14, 16, somewhere around there, I'll stop and I'll write a book where each journal is a chapter of what I'll achieve after, like, the 16th journal.
Let me ask you a question.
Which is pretty far away.
Is it on paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know of a technique called free writing?
I'm not familiar, no.
So, if I understand correctly, the goal of free writing is to sort of lift the barrier between the conscious and unconscious mind.
Oh, that's cool.
And the way they say you can get there is by just writing. No editing, no thinking, just thought vomit for 15 to 20 minutes, no interruptions. And the theory, or at least the thinking, goes that if you're able to do that, you're able to sort of access that unconscious mind. And if you do that enough times, then you're able to step back and make some connections to what you're saying. It's actually quite funny you mentioned that, because I only discovered this a few weeks ago, and that's the only reason I know this. And so a few weeks ago, I vibe coded an app that actually does this in a gamified way, where it lets you write distraction-free in a beautiful environment and gamifies it so you keep writing. So you unlock new papers, you unlock different, like, stuff to write on. It's kind of fun, but the real interesting part, at least for me, is the insights tool that I'm working on right now. And that actually uses AI to derive insights to exactly what you're saying. Because what if you can look back on your life in the last few months, the last year, and further, and see your life score trajectory and how you've actually been navigating that in real time. And so I have a graph I made that shows this, but another feature is it also gives you, at the very end, at the current month, 2 diverging lines. If you keep going on your trajectory, if you accomplish the things you write in your journal, how well your life can turn out. And also the inverse. If you don't go to the gym, if you let those bad thoughts creep in, how your life could fall apart if you keep going down that path. And so it's sort of, it's like a lens. It shows you, or it directs you at least, from your own writing. And so I'm going to release that soon.
Yeah, that's
sorry to drop a product.
I think that will help a lot of people. I imagine for a lot of folk that would be quite helpful if they.
It's called Paper, PAPR.
Yeah, you need to put it in your, like, LinkedIn or something, or wherever, so people can find it.
I'll have to follow me on X.
There you go. Yeah, and to fully answer the question about the path that I'm going, I kind of left on a tangent. It's really just the continuation of that, where I live months and month after month, I feel happier and better about what I'm doing, and I want to reduce the net suffering of the world is really the key goal, because
I mean, the famous quote, right? Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in a lot of the yogic principles from, like, a lot of the big names like Sadhguru and other yogic teachers.
Do you know who Osho is?
Who?
Osho.
I've not heard of Osho.
Oh, he's an interesting and crazy guy. Definitely. You know who John McAfee is? The guy behind McAfee Antivirus? Kind of like a playboy,
I've heard of
drug billionaire.
I've heard of him.
Imagine if that guy also was a yogi. And that's who Osho is. Or was.
It rings a bell for sure.
Worth looking into if anyone's curious. Aspire to...
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of those principles where it's just a lot about the mindfulness that I really feel has been super impactful to me. I've been reading this book in particular by Florence Scovel-Sheen. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's a very niche book, and it just has different affirmations and talking about how I read these things because I used to read this. I read this book like a year ago, and it's pretty emotional to read it in the future because you see things play out in a way that is pretty fun, because a year ago I was in a completely different spot than I am now, and the trajectory has been pretty unexpected. And so it's fun because it's like there's still all these doubts that I think everyone
they never go away
in the pursuit of anything has, because if you haven't achieved it yet, there is doubt that you'll achieve it. But in some sense, for me, I think there's been very little doubt as of late on what I'll be able to do, just with recent successes and various aspects of life that I feel like I've been at, and just the community that I've built for myself and how I see my future outlook. It's really exciting, and I feel like just trusting the process has been such a huge piece that I pick up from these principles. Just like living in the present moment and just letting the future play out.
Do you think you're lucky?
Yeah, I had another friend on the podcast, and he was like, I personally feel like I am very lucky. And so that's what he said. And in response to that, I said that I felt like I was very blessed.
Okay.
Like I feel like I've had a very blessed life. I feel like when I think about myself, I feel like I have a blessing, and that I am protected by a spirit in the world in some sense. Not to really get into religion at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold back.
But I think it's not necessarily about religion. It's just that like miracles have happened in my life. And so in that sense, I take that as proof. And I do think I'm very lucky.
Let me tell you what I think luck means. And it's not like the traditional luck, like I flipped a coin.
Yeah, let me say one thing before we get into that. If I was to bet on something, I'm going to bet on myself, because I think I'll just make it work.
I mean,
it might not have a chance of happening, but like I would go in, like say something's going to have a 1% chance of happening, I'd do it because I'm lucky. I'll make it happen. It'll work for me.
Okay. Well, that Y Combinator application is a shoo-in then. We'll hear soon. But anyway, back to the point I was trying to make. Luck. So I don't see luck as like you flip a coin, you call it right. It's more of a surface area question. And I think you can actually become luckier. And the way you do that is by doing things like this, by meeting people, by going to places, by taking chances. And if you increase your surface area of luck, at least this is what one of my closest friends and mentors taught me, is if you can increase that surface area, you can become luckier more often. You could find a chance encounter. You can accomplish that 1% thing, pulling from things you never could have even thought of, simply by being at the right place at the right time. And the most unlucky people I found, in my experience, are the people who never take chances, who never go out anywhere, who never take, the plunge. And simply by living this lifestyle, by talking to people, by inviting people on a podcast, you invite luck into your life. And that 1% can become 7%. And that 7% can become 21%. And eventually, it can become 100%. And that's how I see luck. It's not a gift from God, or it's not, at least in my view, it's not necessarily anything like that. It is a better word is serendipity.
Yeah, I would never say that I'm more blessed than anyone else. I would say everyone's.
might.
I would say everyone's equally blessed, and everyone should consider themselves blessed for just being
Yeah.
alive, because it's like most people are dead.
Yeah. I could have been like a burger or something, right? We're so fortunate to be human beings. I could have been like this fake plant, but here I am, and we have to make the best of it and go outside of your home and meet people and go to events, even if you hate it, and go to the gym. I mean, I'm one to talk, right? But it's that increasing of that surface area that really is the defining feature of all lucky people.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. I really like one of my go-to heroes, I guess, is Alex Hormozy.
Okay.
Just
Who's that
in the
again?
business world, he's just like an influencer, I guess now.
Okay.
But he created a company that licensed information to gyms to help market them more, and now he has a hedge fund.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe hedge fund's not the right word. They invest in different businesses.
Okay.
More like venture capital. That's probably more the right word.
I've heard the name somewhere. I just
Yeah.
don't have like a face to name.
Acquisition.com is the big fund that he has.
Like
but
private equity, I guess.
yeah, private equity.
Okay.
But like, yeah, private equity is the right word.
Okay.
Like people come to him with deals and then he'll invest. But
Right.
then he brings his team into it and helps them build up their company.
Okay.
But something that he says is do so much work that the outcome becomes improbable that it won't happen.
He sounds like a modern Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, he's very similar.
That's funny. Every decade there's like another one.
Yeah. He might be bigger than Gary Vee, to be honest, like in terms of
Those
just
are fighting words.
Yeah. Maybe it'd be hard to really know, because Gary Vee has it feels like he has a huge social following, and he definitely has his media company. Hormozy's definitely getting there.
Okay. Yeah.
If he's he's probably, that's a good question. He started out smaller for sure.
I mean, we all do, right?
Yeah. He's newer on the scene.
No one gets born a big hippo. We all
Yeah.
got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
So why do you look up to him?
I wouldn't necessarily. It's a complicated thing. I wouldn't say I necessarily look up to him.
okay.
It's just that a lot of the things that he says I agree with.
Okay.
And I've found a lot of value in.
Okay.
He's in the same character type as Gary Vee, where I don't necessarily see them as net value for society, but they're net value for me.
Okay.
So, for example, he just had a book launch, and like he was like trying to get
I heard something about
everyone
that,
to
yeah.
buy his book launch, his books. And there's probably a lot of people who bought his books. And
Hold on,
are
is it
inspired.
like
That
the
probably
200
should be.
books for like $10,000?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
$6,000.
Oh man. Don't
Yeah.
tell me you bought that.
No, I
Okay.
did not. But there's people who probably had value in doing that, and then there's people who probably just spent their last $6,000 in their bank account hoping for something that they will get from these books, when in reality it's just them doing the same thing that they've been doing, or find the leverage online for free.
Mm-hmm.
But he's very valuable. Like the information
Yeah,
that he
of
gives
course.
is very valuable to me, and so that in that, I'm glad that he makes content and whatnot.
Amazing. Well,
But
I'll have to check him out. Alex
Yeah.
Hormozy, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and his wife also makes a lot of content, which is great. But like I was saying, one of the things he says, like, do so much work that the outcomes become improbable that it wouldn't happen. So you basically increase your surface area of luck,
serendipity.
is exactly what he's saying.
There we go.
And it's just like, it's definitely the perspective that I view it as. I like to think a lot about the idea of pulling the future closer to me,
Okay.
and like grabbing it and then taking it closer the more stuff that I do in the present. And it's like, it's already out there, it's already existing, it's just a matter of making it happen in reality. And so that might feel like a very I think there's people that say that maybe aren't worth listening to.
I mean, people say a lot of things.
But yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of different ways to just like, it's whatever makes you tick, I think, and whatever makes someone want to go forward, which definitely like brings up a great question for you. Is just, I hope I answered a bit about what is the path for me.
Yeah.
What would you say is the path for you? But also in that, thinking about what makes you tick from a motivational standpoint and journey, like where do you want to be?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, to recycle a line I said earlier, the life, I didn't choose this life. I think it chose me, for better or for worse. Like, if I could have a normal job, living a normal life, logically speaking, that is a better outcome in the immediate. But I'm really restless. So every time I had those like comfortable jobs, kind of pushing the paper, not really doing anything, it was always the times in my life where I was almost always the unhappiest. And not to say I'm much happier now, but I'm certainly at least spiritually in a better place. Because if I can work on the things that matter to me, then I have more agency. And I guess a lot of those types of jobs rob you of agency. And I may not be immediately successful right now, may not be in the future, in the near future, but this is what I tell people at least. Would you be doing what you're doing if there is no guaranteed future and you were poor forever? If the answer is yes, then you found it. But if the answer is no, then maybe find that comfortable job, because this life is not for everyone, as you well know. If you can live with the uncertainty of the day-to-day, the uncertainty of the next month, the next 6 months, and have a faith that drives you forward, then this is a very scary path. But maybe I'm a little crazy, but I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I think I've been this way for a very long time. And I've had varying degrees of success so far. But this next push is probably going to be the hardest and the most impactful. And so really heads down right now, working on that future. I don't know if this is scary or good advice or bad advice, but the future is completely uncertain, and you have to appreciate what you have now, and you have to believe in that future and make it a reality and pull it closer to you day by day, because it's not guaranteed, not at all. But we have a saying in Russian, actually, the taste of champagne and risk are the same. So if you can't appreciate the taste of risk, then you can't appreciate the taste of champagne. And I'm trying to develop that taste because it's a learned skill.
Yeah. I think a big part of the path for me is being able to do what I want, when I want, where I want to do it.
Gift and a curse.
And so, like, it's just freedom. I think that's a big motivator for a lot of people. But in being free, the real bigger goal is to help a lot of people. And it's like doing what I want, when I want, where I want to do it. It's like right now, I could say that I'm living my dream. And like I'm doing what I want, where I want, when I want to do it. And I think for a lot of people,
I'm sorry,
there's
calling me?
There's a lot of folk who just stick to the paper pushing job because of fear.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel like you've been able to break through that? Because obviously it sounds like you're a very restless person, but there's a lot of people who are restless but then see the big uncertainty of pushing out into the world of entrepreneurship and decide to not.
Well, I'll not mention anything controversial, so I'll kind of try to give the abridged version.
Be controversial.
Okay, well, it's true.
Say what you want to say.
Very well.
This will be public online.
I don't care. It's truly I'm not going to say unshakable, but there's definitely a faith in God or whatever that drives you forward. And I had it's going to sound so cringe, but a direct experience on a really high dose of LSD. And that sort of confirmed to me that there is something there, and it's real. And that something is not something you can unsee once you see it. And I guess to answer your question as to what drives me, or at least what makes me deal with the fear, because you can never get rid of the fear. You're always going to be afraid. You just have to do it afraid. And I know that in my life, I am blessed, similar to you. And I may not immediately be able to see my future, but I know for certain that everything will work out. I also don't believe in free will, to be a little more controversial. There is no free will. But you can't live like there isn't. So despite there not being free will, we all have to live as if there is free will. You know, they say, is there free will, or is there simply the will of God? The Tao, Brahman, whatever name you choose. And there's a certain element of destiny involved. I think for each person, they just will arrive to it at different times. And all we can do is try. And at the end of the day, it's really scary, the uncertainty. But you can try to balance it out with hope in the future. But you have to always be grateful.
Yeah. It's fun that you say that. It's very similar, I think, to what I've been saying.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have a similar take that are entrepreneurs, except the framing can be very different.
Yeah,
because people,
lens.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the words used change, but the underlying like motivation,
the message is the same.
Underlying message is very similar, but it's very fun. I think that I read some LinkedIn post that was interesting.
Gross.
About this guy who sold his company for $60 million and then felt really sad afterward. I think it happens a lot of founders that are really successful.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. But like this is definitely a real thing where people will sell their company and then they'll feel sad afterward because they have nothing to do. They lack their purpose. And then it's a method of redefining the purpose and where like you have to have something to go towards at all times to be alive. The progress is the life.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think there's this big thing that like in the progress being the life, there's a lot of things to progress towards. It's just finding some area to progress is a way to achieve a level of happiness, because maybe for someone who is just going through the standard 9 to 5 and it feels like it's the same day over and over again and they don't really like it.
Groundhog Day.
It's like, instead of just doing that, you keep doing that, but then find something to set as a goal instead of just going to work every day and have it be the same day.
Well, I can give you some context at least, because I have an experience a little similar to this. Before Shinobi Story launched, for like 8 months, I was working in a poker room as my day job, counting the money. And I would come home every single day super tired. I didn't want to do anything except just like go to sleep or veg out. But no, I made that strong cup of coffee and I got to work. Me and a team built a game over a year and a half. And every day I didn't want to work. I wanted to take the path of least resistance, sit on the couch, watch YouTube. But no, I forced myself to work on something. I mean, I was excited by it, so that helps if you find something that you actually like. But it's not easy. No one just like falls into success. There's a lot of behind the scenes of struggle, of complete uncertainty, and just forcing yourself to work through it. And so it's kind of funny when I see people say, oh, the CEO, he just got lucky, or how dare these people, don't they know how hard we have it with our 9-to-5s? We don't have time to start a startup. We don't have time to do things we like, but we do. We all have time. We all have time. A 9-to-5, that leaves so much more time in the day to work on something you actually care about. And the good part is you have money, you have runway, you have a 9-to-5. You have no excuse. But granted, this life is not for everyone, as you well know. And a lot of people are happy in their normal jobs, and I'm really thankful that they're doing them because it lets me kind of focus on what I want. And the world can still keep turning. So we definitely need people in the 9-to-5. I think it's heroic in some sense, in its own like way.
There's no bad path.
Yeah.
And I think
as long as you're happy in what you're doing.
The people that see the successful folk and just say that, oh, they're so lucky, also don't see the surface area of how many times they tried to get that luck. Because they did get lucky.
And a lot of times those successful people are not happy as well. They may be successful, but they're not happy.
Yeah.
In fact, that's most people. Most people are just not happy because they get what they want, but it's not what they actually want. And it's kind of like the ultimate irony of it, if you think about it, where do we even really know what we want? I don't know. But you should at least work on things that make you happy.
What do you think it is that people really want?
Philosophers, scholars, and all religions have been trying to solve this. I don't think I have an answer for you on this podcast, but I'm trying to figure it out myself.
I feel like it's progress.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good answer. I think it is moving forward in some way.
And why games are so fun is because you just progress. You see the progression.
The gameplay loop.
It's the gameplay loop.
Yeah, until you get to max level and you have the end game gear, and you don't know what to do. At that point, do you win the game? Because that's the question I had to deal with in my game. Like, okay, a lot of my players have completed all the checkboxes. They have everything. But I still need to find some way to keep them entertained. And so that was like always a dog chasing its tail, or like an Ouroboros that eats itself. If you know what that is, like the snake that eats its tail. It's like infinite. And it's tough because let's say you get everything you want. Then what?
Then you die.
Do you?
Left.
Some
people gotta find a different journey.
Yeah, exactly. To your point.
Different path.
To your point, yeah. Some people get everything they've ever wanted at 40, and then they realize they have another 40 years, and so, if not longer, and so the journey has just begun.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, one skill that I don't know if it's a skill or a talent, but to be able to see something from beginner's eyes, that humility is something I try to do, but it's tough. It's tough to put yourself in like the beginner's shoes. But that's, I think, the best place to always be.
It's always fun talking to people, bringing people in and getting their fresh perspective on something that when I work on something for a while and then I bring someone in and they bring ideas that I've had in the past, and I'm like, yes. But then often there'll be ideas that you just never consider
Yeah.
and are just so obvious, and that's because it's a fresh perspective. And it's like, how do we get those? How do you try and do that?
How do I try? I could be better at it, I have to admit. You know, it's easy to be like calcified in your beliefs. It's like, oh, only my way is the right way. Everyone else is stupid. But that's not true at all. And it's still a work in progress in that regard, but at least the way I've historically done it, or historically have had this approach, is I'm a bit hands off, and I try to let people do what they're good at without trying to be like a dictator. And I find that sometimes works in getting or bringing out that perspective or that fresh take, because I mean, all you can really do is bring them on and have trust in yourself that you found the right person, and then have trust in them that they can do what they're good at. And I don't know if that answers your question, but in some way, that's the answer that I thought of. Yeah.
What are you most excited for in the next year?
What am I most excited for in the next year? You know, it might sound crazy. I don't think I've thought of it, or like thought of that. I'm kind of in the immediate, like in the next week, the next like couple weeks. What excites me? Wow, I don't know. You know, that sounds so weird to say, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just excited by next month, and the mysteries it brings. It's like I'm watching a movie. I don't know what's coming next, but
Yeah.
at least it's interesting.
Yeah. I know for me, I'm looking forward to building the relationships with the friends and mentors that I've had, as well as seeing what I can make happen with the product that I built, and getting more experience really focused on making a profitable business.
Okay, so yes, I too am excited about my version of that. It's just startups just require so much of you to live in the immediate.
Yeah.
Like fixing or like getting something up and running. Like
Well, there's so much you never know what's going to happen. I know that for various startups, it can feel like you set goals and then the next month
your goals are meaningless.
the goal becomes meaningless because either like something changes that totally can change the business.
Yeah, I guess I'm just excited to keep going. It's it's fun.
That's cool. Well, Vlad, thank you so much.
Oh, is that
for
the time?
coming on
Okay.
the podcast. I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Yeah.